Well, hello there, folks. Sorry it's been a while. Coronavirus, key worker, and all the rest of it. But here we go, we're back. So, great place to start. The brand new Eduard Spitfire Mk1. There's been a lot said already online, good and bad, but I thought we'd take a look and see what we think. So, straight away, a smaller box than expected. It's a bit bigger than your average sort of Profi pack, but not quite as big as your some of the limited editions. Everyone agrees, fantastic box art. Me personally, I think probably one of the top 3 box arts of all time. If they don't do this as a print with the Eduard series, I'll be very surprised. Between this and possibly the Nasri boxing from a few years back, with that brilliant looking out over at his wingmen. I'm not going to attempt to butcher the Czech language, but it basically translates as boys are back. So Spitfire story, The Few. 1/48th limited edition twin pack. 10 options of markings, we'll go through all those in a moment. Kit number 11143. Supermarine Spitfire Mk1 in 1/48th scale, focused on the aircraft from the introduction into service to the end of the Battle of Britain. There will be more, that's all I'm saying on that subject. It's dual combo, so plastic, photo etch, loads of marking options, and we've got a tiny little bit of resin we'll look at in a moment as well. So let's go with it. So top open box as always. I'll put it to one side so I can use it to hide things in. So I'll come back to this bit in a minute. So first of all, complete and utterly packed. Could they have perhaps gone for a slightly bigger box? Maybe, but it's all in there and it's all safe. So as always, I'll take all this to one side. We'll start looking at some of the other bits and pieces first. So we're going to want to look at the instructions. Again, that fantastic art on the front. Sorry about the glare. Can I get rid of that? Maybe? No, I can't. Okay. So straight away, nice thick booklet. Lots and lots of information about the technical development of the Spitfire, how it all started, prototypes and so on. We have the kit breakdown. Please note there are some options here that aren't going to be used. Again, there's a clue to that a little bit later on. Etch and of course resin pilot. Starting unsurprisingly very similar to anyone who's done the Mark 9. 8, 9, I always do that. Mark 9. With the cockpit. Somewhat simplified from before. We have different options when it comes to the back plate, armoured or not. There has been some talk about whether or not the undercarriage selector is correct or not. Everyone seems to disagree. I think it does depend upon exactly which one out of the box you're going to do. Whether it bothers you or not, it doesn't particularly bother me. It's going to be a very well detailed cockpit. It's going to be covered in detail. Yes, the Tamiya kit does give the 2 options for hydraulic or manual. But again, use your own decision making on that, whether or not to or maybe go aftermarket, etc. if it really bothers you. Use your own references. We've got a little bit of etch going in. Seat again, armoured or not, depending on choices of which one you go for. Then many options when it comes to the instrument panel. Again, whether early, late, whether you go for the decal, the plastic kit parts, or the etch, because it's all in there. Pedals, even though no one will ever see them. Again, different options when it comes to gun sight. All going in. Please note, no cowling, separate cowling this time around though. So you will have to deal with that seam down the centre. I assume again because it's not an earlier Merlin, it doesn't have the bulge to it, so it wasn't necessary. A little bit there if you're going to close the cockpit. It's taken to detail, more decals, etc., more choices with regards to what you need to open up depending on which option you're going for. We have a multi-part undercarriage bay. Again, if it's anything like the R Mark 9, don't worry, it will all go perfectly together. You won't have any problems there at all. We've got the guns going in now, so the machine guns. I wouldn't worry about breaking them off, to be honest. They basically don't stick out, so it shouldn't be any issue at all. Tailplanes going on, whether or not you have the little funky sort of wire thing on the tail for the parachute on the early ones. It had like a wire thing basically for if you bail out, it shouldn't tangle, or it will help not tangle the parachute on the tail. It turned out it basically never really happened, so they could take it off. Tail going on. We've then got some options for strengthening on the fuel tank. More strengthening parts underneath, radiator choices. Underneath carrying is one part, so there's no seam in there. Elevators going on. Again, obviously, if you're going to pose them, make sure that they don't go like down at the same time or up at the same time, because that would be wrong, as I discovered myself on my old Mark 9. Wheels going through, again, separate hubs, so that'll be easier to paint. Again, you seem to have options when it comes to the radiator for etch, some small etch detail parts to go in there. Again, depending on which version. Tail wheel going on, obviously making sure you've got the line lining up right, and then we're into options for propeller and the canopy. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of different options here depending on which of the markings you go for. So we've got the dual blade propeller just there. We've got the flat options for canopy, bulge options for canopy, ones with a little window in, you name it, depending on which one you're going to go for. And of course the exhaust, we'll come to those later on. Again, different options here, whether you're going for closed, whether you're going for the three-bladed propeller, which ones have different variations of rear view mirror, or even at all. Different options for aerial, if you want to put the wires in. And then we've got the our mask layout and the pilot figure. So it's supposed to be based on Douglas Bader. There has been some talk about whether or not it's accurate or not, or what sort of era it's actually set from. To my eye, it actually looks like a slightly older Douglas Bader. So maybe better suited to his Mark 5 than his Mark 1. But it certainly looks incredibly well detailed, so we'll look at that later. Oddly, no colour callouts for him, so again, you're going to have to use your references. So, options. I'm going to flick through this a little bit. In their info Eduard for last month, they go into much more detail, even than is written here. And I highly recommend downloading it and having a read. It's a free download from their website, and it goes into grotesque detail. So, first of all, we have a very, very early looking one from number 19 Squadron with the flat canopy, the silver underneath, the big roundels, and the dual blade propeller. That's from 1938. Much talk about Sir Henry Cousins, who most likely flew it. Quite famously, not only was he CEO of the squadron, but he was also a highly decorated aircraft engineer himself, so that helped with a lot of the design. You'll see this, every single option here has differences, as they basically developed the aircraft in situ after hearing back from the pilots. We then have sort of early 39, I'm trying to not get much too glare on that. There we go. Number 41 Squadron in RAF Catterick. So we now have the black and white underside, the early looking roundels. Looks like I've got some patches of fresh paint and so on to have a quick play with. Again, the dual blade propeller. We then move up to the triple blade propeller. So it's starting to look more like we expect to see. Bulged canopy. And of course, a very famous name there, Robert Stamford Tuck of 65 Squadron in summer of 39. More famous names. So Archibald McKellar of 602 Squadron in East Lothian, Scotland. Again, slight differences in markings, but the black and white underside. Then we have Alan Christopher Deere, the Kiwi, in May of 1940. So now we're getting more into the actual Battle of Britain. And of course the tail flashes are start appearing now. We've then got the man himself, Douglas Bader, in early June of 1940, so one of his earlier machines. Again with the black and white and silver underside, so obviously some parts must have been repainted. The bulge canopy and the triple blade propeller. And Adolf Gaisbert Milan, Sailor Milan. So we're now on to June, July 1940, so getting really, really close to that sort of infamous summer for the few. We go duck egg green underneath, kind of the sort of classic look that people expect, I think, a Mark 1 Spitfire to look like. So that's a beautiful and handsome looking machine. Another good famous name, Eric Stanley Locke. So 26 confirmed kills, very busy man. And then Cecil Unwin, or George Cecil Unwin I should say, from number 19 Squadron. I'm actually going to be doing probably something based on this. I'm really looking at doing Geoffrey Wellham's machine, who of course was a wingman of Cecil Unwin. So, sorry, camera foul there. Yep, wingman of Cecil Unwin, 19 Squadron. So slight change now. You go from the duck egg green to the sky. So again, slight change there in terms of colour. And then finally, Osgood, Philip Villiers, nicknamed Pedro, Eton College fella. So again, another very famous name there. And again, another classic look. Sensing positions, and of course the obituary advert for all the other various bits. Look canopy, panel if you don't want to redo anything fiddly. The resin cockpit, whether or not that's important or not, I think will be down to you. And options for gun bays, more on that later. I also know, again, there's going to be more coming after this as well, you know, full engine, all that kind of jazz. So, excellent. The etch, I'm not going to go into too detail. We kind of know what we expect when it comes to Eduard for stuff like this. It is the later type with the gloss already put in on the instruments, so that looks beautiful. That little parachute thing again on the early ones, so that looks great. We have, of course, the cut up bits there for your masking. And of course we have the resin figure, who looks absolutely stunning, quite frankly, especially in this light. Now again, me personally, do I think that looks like a little bit of a older Douglas Bader? Maybe that would suit his Spitfire VB a little bit better, or even later, possibly. But he's going to look pretty sweet, all painted up, with his hand in his pocket. Generally looking as you know, you expect a Spitfire fighter pilot to look like, you know, ice cool. Right, decals. There has been much talk about these again with regards to quality control. I have a quick look at these when the our camera went. Mine personally, I don't see a problem. Some people seem to have a lot of excess gluing agent on there. So you have to be very, very careful when it comes to changing your water regularly. Make sure you clear off some of that excess glue. But looking there, mine look fantastic. They all look in good register. They're a lovely colour. You can just about see, look, a crackle. That's the glue drying. Very little in the way of carrier film around things. They look about the right sort of thickness. They're satin finished. These are interesting though. So is that like a discoloured section? for those early ones where they had it repainted. It would be yellow, but they redo it. That was kind of cool. So they look pretty cool. I'm quite chuffed with those. Again, as I say, some people have reported issues. If that is the case, get onto Eduard. Get onto Eduard. Don't panic. Don't complain online. Don't scream and whinge on Facebook. Just get onto Eduard. Trust me. Their customer service is fantastic. I've used it before. They will send a replacement. Trust me. Clear parts. Just having a look at the camera, making sure it's still running. So, these look lovely. Beautifully clear. We've got different wingtips here for cut down wings, which is interesting. We have different options for the front, armoured or non-armoured, and of course we have open or closed, and we have the different options. Maybe I can get the camera to just focus on that. There we go, perfectly. We have the bulged, slightly bulged and flat for the really, really early ones. And again, this is available in the open as well. So they look lovely, they're clear, they're perfect. Again, any injection parts are all off the part, as is we expect these days. So that's beautiful. Don't need to open the other one. Right, important parts. Fuselage time. So as we know, it is just a single part of cowling, so you are going to have to deal with the seam, but obviously you have to deal with the seam further down, so yeah, it's not a problem. It does mean you are not going to have a problem with fitment or anything there. In terms of detail though, if I can get the light there, that is just absolutely stunning. So we have the large raised rivets further down, the strengthening ones, and the smaller, thinner ones there. That is utterly, utterly stunning, and I'd say one of the best I've ever seen on anything. And again, down the front, you have various different fixtures, fixings, and rivets. On the inside, of course, there's very little because most of this will be built up afterwards. Again, any injection parts are well away from where you're going to see. You've got a cutout for the radio compartment, which I assume will be coming later on as part of a resin set. Now you can copy another one. We've got two matching parts here with different propellers and seats. They're looking nice. There is a little clue, by the way, as to what Eduard are up to in the future with these, by the way. Because if you notice again, it says Spitfire Mk1 and 5. Maybe that's why there's so many parts that aren't important in this kit. Wings. I love looking at these because it really gives you a good idea of how good the kit's going to look afterwards. We have, again, exceptional surface detail here. But a few areas where it looks like it's gotten a little bit close to coming through, but it hasn't. So we're all good. We're just right on the edge. Love how they go matte here for the paint, but clean here for the glue. You already know. And the upper there, again, it looks so close to coming through, but it hasn't. It's all good. Nope, it's not mould grease. So it's all good. Again, in terms of surface detail, looking fantastic. On the inside, we've got a tiny little bit of detail there. That's not a injection mark, by the way, that's supposed to be there. Nothing else. This is interesting though on the bottom. So what we have here, yes, there's injection marks obviously where again you're not going to see them, but we have sections here and here and along here. This isn't for strengthening, this is for putting in those resin gun bays if you should choose to buy them and open them up. So they've already started thinking, making it easier for you to install them by already putting the location parts in for them. And of course, it's also going to strengthen the wing in general. So that I'm particularly loving. Loving that. And then again, we have 2 copies of 2 other sprues with all the smaller parts. So again, we have the 2-blade propeller, another different 3-blade propeller, some tiny parts. Just here, if I can get the camera to focus, there we go, looking good. And of course the inside of the cockpit, again, it's going to look great even just in plastic without all the extra bits and bobs. And we have the different variations of panel, should you choose to go for plastic, for etch, for decal, whatever you personally choose. And again, up here we have options for cannon, which of course aren't going to be used in this kit. So yet again, a quick look. Yep, sure enough, this sprue is going to be used for more than one kit that's going to be coming later on. This we like. Now onto the big one. So the exhausts. So there's been plenty said online about this. I'm not going to go into it too badly. Mine look fine. There's a very slight deviation on there. Eduard themselves admitted it in their info, Eduard, that they rushed it out a little bit, and some of them do have injection marks on. Whether or not it's really going to be noticeable, whether or not it's easily fixed, whether or not that is a deal breaker, if you think so, I don't think so. You can just about see if I can just get the camera to focus. There we go. They're already open-ended. That's beautiful. What's the other side say? So, okay, yeah, I have got a couple there that are a little bad. But for me personally, nothing that I couldn't fix myself. Again, I mean, if it's a really big problem, get onto Eduard. Get onto Eduard. They'll send you something new. If you don't want to wait that long, I'm just going to skip in. They do sell resin ones. To be honest, they don't look very much different in terms of detail. But of course, they don't have that problem. I picked this up just in case from eBay for a £5, and I'm probably going to sell them because I don't think I'm going to need them. Mine, thankfully, aren't that bad, but they look beautiful. So, if it really bothers you, you can go down that route if you prefer. And then finally, the last sprue. We have its backside, tails, and so on there, undercarriage doors, more different options for nose cone, some smaller parts, wingtips again, so it looks like clipped wing Mark 5s are going to be coming. Wingtips, again, some beautiful detail there. The panel for the underneath, again has some lovely detail of fasteners and so on. One piece, so there's no thing to do with there. Looking on the other side, I can see some slight injection marks just on the inside of the radiators. Whether or not you'll see them or not, I know that's up to you if you want to fix that. Just looking which way up that is. Yes, that's actually right up basically inside the oil plane, so chances of seeing that are slim to none. But obviously a quick swipe should fix that. We do have the various different doors with without crowbar. Again, there's a lot of talk about when they had them, when they didn't. You got the option, it's your choice. Some remarkably thin casting. Yep, some remarkable casting on that door just there. And we've got the wheel hubs just there as well. Looking good. Right then. Overall, a few quick words. So, Battle of Britain, Mark 1 Spitfire, classic look. Do we need another? Yeah, if you want to look at that one, I think so. I mean, in terms of a full package, you've got everything that you need there. Fantastic looking kit. I'm sure it'll build very, very well. Loads of detail. You got extras like the etch and stuff already in there. Pre-cut masks already in there. Markings for basically, everyone important. This is the first boxing for their Mark 1 Spitfire, so there will be more limited editions, more Profo packs, Weekend, Royal, so on and so on going through. I think this is going to become very, very collectible for various different reasons, only one of which is this box art. So especially for the price. It's between £50 to £57 depending on where you get it from. That works out at £25 to £27 per kit. Basically right on the nose, really. I mean, a Mark 22 Airfix Spitfire is 25 to 30, so hello. And you will also get all the other little bits and pieces. I just get the feeling this one's going to be particularly sought after in future. Same as the Desert Babe, same as the Chattanooga Choo Choo, same as the Tiffy Typhoon. We know it is limited to a certain amount of our castings as well before they go into the standard production run. If you want a Mark 1 Spitfire, go out, get one straight away. You won't regret it. Even if you don't, I still suggest going and getting one for collectible reasons. Put it in your stash, sit back, wait a couple of years, and then sell it on eBay for a ridiculous profit, because that's what I think is going to happen. It also looks as though it's going to be the start of a whole new line. Whether or not that means the Royal Edition is going to be Mark 1 or Mark 1 and 2, Mark 1, 2 and 5, we don't know yet. We do know that Eduard are going to be re-releasing their 109E as a limited edition as a partner to this, called the Aldergraph Boxing next month. So again, expect some big names, some flying aces. We know Adolf Gallen's going to be one of them. So, and apparently the Aldergraph Boxing is going to be in 2 scales as well. So 48th to go along with this one, and 32nd as well for those people who love the bigger scales. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed. Go out and get one. Please like, subscribe and share. In particular, please like this video. Apparently I've now found out that YouTube basically don't care unless people like things. So if you have listened this far, please like the video. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Take care.